Okay, good afternoon. My name is Joce and Deduro, and the topic assigned to me is all about Module 8, Behaviorism, Tolman, and Bandura. With new research's explanation provided that the basic principles of behaviorism appeared not satisfy all learning scenarios. New theories came into view which maintained some of the behaviorist concepts but included others and added new ideas which later came to be associated with the cognitive views of learning. The behaviorists then were a transitional group bridging the gap behaviorist and cognitive theories of learning. Okay, the activity one that they make is or working on maze. Okay, the Thomas purposive behaviorist, aka sign learning theory. Learning is a cognitive process. Learning is acquired through meaningful behavior. The stimuli which are allowed in are not connected by just simple one-to-one switches to the outgoing responses. Rather, the incoming impulses are usually worked over and elaborated in the central control room into a tentative cognitive-like map of the environment. A new stimulus, the sign, becomes associated with already meaningful stimuli, the significant, through a series of pairings. There was no need for reinforcement in order to establish learning. The Thomas key concepts, number one, are learning is always purposive and goal-directed. Individuals do more than merely respond to stimuli. They act on beliefs, attitudes, changing conditions, and they strive towards goal. Second is the cognitive maps. Famous experiments on rats concluded that organism or individual to be exact learn the location and well select the shortest or easiest path to achieve goal. For example is going to school every day. Yes, because you walk. Next is latent learning. Learning that remains or stays with the individual until needed. Learning that is outwardly manifested at once. The example of that is a 2-year-old handling the remote control for the first time. Next, the concept of intervening variable. Variables that are not readily seen but serves as determinants of behavior. Learning is meditated or influenced by expectations, perceptions, representations, needs, and other internal or environmental variables. The example of that is the experiment on rats' hunger. The next is reinforcement, not essential for learning. Reinforcement is not essential for learning, although it provides an incentive for performance. Example, rats acquired knowledge of the way through maze and the absence of reinforcement. The social learning theory of Bandura. Reading a news article. A 10-year-old boy in Texas hangs himself after watching Saddam execution. How sad is that? Social learning theory, also called observational learning. Theory that emphasizes learning through observation of others. We learn not only how to perform a behavior, but also what will happen to us in a specific situation if we do perform it. Types of observational learning effects. Inhibition. So learn not to do something that we already know how to do because a model being observed refrains from behaving in that way or does something different from what is intended to be done. Disinhibition. To learn to exhibit a behavior that is usually disapproved of by most people because a model does the same without being punished. Facilitation. To be prompted to do something that is not ordinarily done because of insufficient motivation. Observational learning. To learn a new behavior pattern by watching and imitating the performance of someone else. General principles of social learning theory. Number 1. People can learn by observing the behavior of the others and the outcomes of those behaviors. Number 2. Learning can occur without a change in behavior. Number 3. Cognitive plays or role in learning. Number 4. Social learning theory can be considered a bridge or transition between behaviorist learning theories and cognitive learning theories. How environment and punishes modeling. People are often to reinforce for modeling the behavior of others. Bandura suggested that the environment also reinforces modeling. This is in similar possible ways. Number 1, the observer is reinforced by the model. Number 2, the observer reinforced by a third person. Number 3, the imitated behavior itself leads to reinforcing consequences. Number 4, consequences of the model's behavior affect the observer's behavior miraculously. Okay, contemporary social learning perspective on reinforcement and punishment. The number 1 in there is contemporary theory proposes that both reinforcement and punishment have indirect effects on learning. Number 2, reinforcement and punishment influence the extent to which an individual exhibits a behavior that has been learned. Number 3, the expectation of reinforcement influences cognitive processes that promote learning. Cognitive factors in social learning. Number 1, learning without performance through observation and actual imitation. Number 2, cognitive processing during learning. That is the attention. Number 3, expectations, consequences. Number 4, reciprocal causation. That's for person, behavior, and environment. Then number 5, lived models and symbolic models. Behavior that can be learned through modeling. Many behaviors can be learned at least partly through modeling. Aggregation can be learned through models. Moral thinking and moral behavior are influenced by observation and modeling. Moral judgment, reading right and wrong, which can in part develop through modeling. The 4 elements of observational learning. Attention, mental focus of concentration, willingness of the child to observe and mimic the behavior of a model. Retention, number 2, to encode the behavior in the memory, ability to store information. Production, to actually perform the behavior observed. Motivation reinforcement, force that drives one to act. 3 forms of reinforcement. Direct, number 1 is direct reinforcement. Occurs when an individual watches a model perform, imitates the behavior that is reinforced or punished by some individual. Direct reinforcement, for example, you with your student, you're making about the worksheet that you given to them, and then she get the correct answer, so you will say very good. Okay. Vicarious reinforcement. The observer anticipates receiving a reward for behaving in a given way because someone else has been so rewarded. Just like example, your student get the high grade. And of course, the one student is watching with you, and she will think, oh, I'll study in advance just like him so that I can get the high grades. That is the behaviorist reinforcement. Self reinforcement. The individual strives to meet personal standards and does not depend on or care about the reaction of others. For example, you will get the magnifying glass and then you see what's happening for the flowers, what is inside the flowers, how the pollen grains look like in actual, for example. No? Okay, next, effects of modeling behavior. Number one, modeling teaches new behaviors. Number two, modeling influences the frequency of previously learned behaviors. Number three, modeling may encourage previously forbidden behaviors. Number four, modeling increases the frequency of similar behaviors. Behaviors is a mirror in which everyone displays his own image. Good behavior can cover a lack of beauty, but a good beauty can never cover a lack of good behavior.